Cody, how are you, sir? We are live with another weekly Rejects Late Late show, and
The first.
the first of the year. Yeah,
Another but a first.
another but a first. The first of 2022. I almost said 2021 there, but the first of
The year of our abject.
yeah,
What year is it? What is time?
right,
Are we
right.
all just stuck in a loop? Are we living in the Matrix?
There's a glitch in the Matrix. Right here, babe. I got it.
No, if there were a glitch, things would be better. This is
Yeah.
exactly how the Matrix is supposed to work. It sucks.
But
Can I go back to the first Matrix when they made everything perfect? I want to live in that Matrix.
right.
I want to be in that first iteration. I think that the first iteration where everything was perfect was a lie on the machine's part. That whole, well, you guys just wouldn't be happy with everything going exactly your way, so we had to give you a free will. Sounds
Right.
made up, because I absolutely would love where I had to make a universe where I had to make no decisions and everything was perfectly fine and wonderful.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead to the fourth one yet, so
Yeah. Oh, and if you guys, if you haven't noticed yet, we are talking about. There we go. We are talking about the Matrix saga this week. Why? Because the fourth Matrix came out, and we watched it, and we had to talk about it. So if we were going to talk about that one, then we had to talk about the first three and the Animatrix, because why not? We got to get the Animatrix in. The only thing we didn't do was go back and play the Matrix online video game. That's we did. We just
I did not do that. I didn't do it. I'm sorry. I'm not
I
that
just
dedicated of a fan, nor did I have the time to play an entire video game and watch 5 movies.
I would have back in 2000, 4 and 5, somewhere in that time frame. But that we still had dial-up internet back then, and there was I couldn't be the cool video game kid like the PCer because
Yeah, if I'd have had the technology in 2003 when the sequels came out, I totally would have been playing that game.
Oh yeah. The online game, I remember it being huge back then. It was that, and Star Wars Galaxies was the first big online game I remember. Pre KOTOR and all that fun online funness. But yeah, we're going back to 1999. The year of great movies, by the way.
Yeah, man, look, besides The Matrix that came out in 1999, these are some other titles that came out in 1999. Fight Club, The Sixth Sense, The Iron Giant, the South Park movie, Three Kings, The Insider. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's like one of the best years of movies, period.
Episode 1. Yeah. You didn't mention
Well,
that one.
I think that might be part of why The Matrix kind of caught on so fast as being considered like being canonized and revolutionary as one of the greatest sci-fi and action movies, because a lot of people were disappointed in the Phantom Menace, and then they looked back and they're like, well, that Keanu Reeves movie like really friggin' rocked.
They went dark with it, and yeah, it was that neo-punk dominatrix
cyberpunk with a little bit of anime and manga influence. I think the Matrix kind of helped like usher in. I'm not saying it solely did it. There are other things, but I think its popularity helped make anime more what's the word I'm looking, accessible
Mainstream, maybe.
to the mainstream audience.
Yeah.
And you've talked about several movies that we talked about there. You're like, I remember what day it was and what I ate, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember my dad taking me to the Matrix opening weekend. I got to leave school early that Friday afternoon. We went to the matinee. It was probably like the 3 or 4 o'clock. Blew my mind. We went and ate Chinese food afterwards. We even made a joke because we heard the telephone ring and we're like, is someone trying to get out of the Matrix?
Nice, nice. This was I was notorious for going to a friend's house, my best friend's house after church on Sundays. And this was one of those that we went to like a Sunday show. Uh like I went to his house because he was driving. He was driving a little bit earlier than I was, so we we got to go to the movies anytime we wanted. So it was like, hey, we're gonna go after church. We're gonna go watch The Matrix. And I was like, heck yeah, man, let's do this. And it blew my mind, like totally, because that's all I thought about. Like the rest of the week, like into that week, that's all I could think about was like, holy crap, I can't not wait for this to come out on VHS so I can rent it and watch it over and over again.
Yeah, this became like a staple movie that I watched like constantly between when this came out and when the sequels came out. And I know a lot of people, this was like their first DVD. Now I'll tell you, I actually had the original movie on VHS first, and I remember what happened. We were watching the Academy Awards it was in 2000, but we were watching the Academy Awards for 1999.
Mhm.
And The Matrix won 4 Oscars, I believe, that year. So everything it was up for, it won. So visual effects, sound, and I forget what the other category was. But I
Mhm.
remember my mom like saying, well, why didn't that get nominated for Best Picture? It's apparently winning all the Oscars. And I was like, yeah, Mom, I don't know why they didn't nominate The
Right?
Matrix. It's because it's
I
a sci-fi action movie. But then I went to the mall in Tyler. I, I forget what the store's called. It was their music movie store they had. And I bought The Matrix in widescreen format on VHS.
Nice, nice. I had it. I got it for Christmas because every year my parents uh, they would buy me like a couple of VHS. It didn't matter, it could be old, good James Bond movies. I got Silverado one year, just random stuff my dad would think I would like, and every year it was a hit because I like all the great stuff, all the older stuff that they would get me. But let's see, my first DVDs. And I remember it. It was 2 episodes. I was working at Berkshire's. It was probably 2000 because I started in October of '99. It was after the Y2K scare, and my boss comes up to me and it was like, Chris, because I was always hanging out. This was when Berkshire's had the video department. Um, right there, kind of. It was in between the last checkout in front of the manager's office and then the pharmacy. So it was all right there in that area, where the cards and stuff are. It was like this little video department, and I would always go on my breaks and just go volunteer to put up the videos because nobody else liked to do it, and it gave me time to check out, movies that were coming in and stuff like that, and that's where I started picking up movie posters. But anyway, Mr. Brown comes up to me and he goes, Chris, I won these DVDs in like some door prize at a corporate thing I had to go to. Do you want them? And I was like, well, yeah, because I didn't even have a DVD player. I was like, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to watch them, but sure, they're free. And it was from the Earth. It was the From the Earth to the Moon box set and a Star Trek. It was a Star Trek, the original series DVD that had 2 episodes on it of the original series. And it blew my mind. I was like, holy crap, these must have cost a fortune. You know, I'm I don't know how much DVDs cost. These are brand new to me. You know, they had just started like converting them. Like you started seeing a lot more of them in video stores. Like they were kind of phasing out VHS. So that's around the time I was picking up a lot of VHS to buy. And matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why Berkshire's shut down their video department is because they didn't want to upgrade to DVDs. Yeah, they didn't want to spend the money to upgrade.
There's still people out there who are like, nope, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Well,
not paying for
Alto
another
finally
conversion.
took that Matrix poster down. It was there forever.
Oh, Alto? Yeah, I remember that for years. You know, that stayed up there for so long it imprinted on the window. But anyway, long story short, I took one of my paychecks. I saved up 2 paychecks uh from Berkshire's, and I went to Walmart and bought my very first DVD player, which kind of became, it was mine and slash the family's. And
You bought it, but everybody got to.
and I think like the third DVD that I ever picked up was The Matrix. And I got it because my dad like picked up, and my parents had picked up a surround sound. And I was like, this
Oh.
is the perfect movie.
Man.
And I jumped straight to the scene where they go in and like Neo and Trinity like walk in and they just start shooting up the place. That's the very first scene like I jumped to. And I could remember my mom saying, "Y'all turn that down. You're gonna shake the house apart." My dad, I was
It's
like,
not the house, Mom. It's the Matrix.
yeah, I was like, watch this. And I remember like just crank it up. And I remember it like blew my dad away. It was like, oh, we got to watch this after your mom goes to bed. The only problem was the only problem was is my parents' bedroom was right off the living room. So my mom would like try to go to bed. She was like, I can't sleep. And I was like, this movie has like 45 minutes left. You're just going to have to sit through it. You know, put some headphones in.
So when we get to the new one, I think there's an interesting parallel, but I find it interesting that this original Matrix movie, we spend 45 minutes roughly not knowing what the heck is going on at all, but we're like, I don't know what's going on, but it's cool. And then we finally get some information about what's going on in the movie.
Right? And they do just kind of float along there for a little bit. You know, they hint at a lot of things. You pick up some Easter eggs, but yeah, like it did. I do need to go see. I need to watch it again. I only watched it once.
The newest one or the first one?
The newest one.
I mean, I just rewatched the first one just because we were going to talk about them. But I mean, I've seen it so many times, I probably didn't need to because, and I'm going to disagree. And when we get to start talking about the sequels, we'll talk about them. But I think even if you are of those people that don't like the sequels, I don't think the sequels diminish how good this movie is and like
No.
how groundbreaking this movie was. Like, it's always there. Like, and it ends like it didn't need a sequel like how it ended. Like that could have been the movie and you would have been like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, that's the way I was for the first like year after it came out, and then I heard that they were gonna do 2 more, and then they were gonna be released back to back within a month of each other, which I thought was really cool because I started working at the Jacksonville Theater in between the second and the third one, so I got to work there for the third movie, and I watched it so many damn times at that theater on my days off, or I'd come in early and watch it. But yeah, the sequels were just as great as, you know, and it expanded it and it fleshed it out. And the I heard someone say it deconstructed the first one and totally took a left turn.
Okay, are we gonna go straight into them?
No,
Is there
we don't have to. I'm just saying, like, you mentioned that the sequels didn't diminish, how awesome and groundbreaking the first one was at all. And yeah, I did kind of jump ahead there, but yeah, the first one, you're right. It's great as a standalone film or the beginning of a trilogy. Like it works both ways. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, Lindsay, you're a little bit younger than us. I don't know if you were exposed to the Matrix at 9 years old or you came to it later.
I definitely remember how big a deal it was. But I'll be completely honest and say that I didn't see the first film until I was married to Christopher. So
No shame.
at 9, I wasn't getting to pick a lot of movies for anybody else.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to wait. I remember the Matrix coming out, and then I remember like all the pop culture, like all of the references that were made to it, like immediately after, and still to this day. Like my kids are aware of what the Matrix is, even if they haven't seen anything, just because there's so many references and jokes about it.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why all 3 of these follow-up films may not be as beloved as this first one. One, it's the original, but because it became such a zeitgeist, like immediately after it was released, like, there's no way they're gonna top it, and they don't have to. And also fans, people, you might get upset what I'm about to say, but fans, you get mad when a movie isn't what you think it is in your head. You don't let movies just be movies. You don't have to like the movie, but like, don't be mad at the movie just because it wasn't what you envisioned in your head. You didn't make the movie.
I've
Right.
seen that, and I will admit I've been one of those people. I think everyone has in some way or shape or form or the other, but I have seen it with every fandom. I just saw it with Afterlife. I've seen it with Star Wars. I am one of those people with one particular Star Wars. I won't mention which one. Cody, you might know.
If it's the one I'm thinking, this new Matrix movie is very similar, though, to that Star Wars movie.
Kinda, but it's a little more forgiving in the Matrix universe, and I know that makes me
Maybe
that
because
makes me
Star
sound
Wars has been done to death.
yeah, that makes me sound a little hypocritical, and I'm really trying to let go of that. I'm trying to work
For
on
every
my inner fanboy and my inner like the way I feel towards, because my motto is I like shit movies, and it doesn't matter if it's from a franchise that I love. I really do try to open up and give that movie a chance. Like, but it still flies pretty low on my radar there.
Well, Lindsay, you may have been only 9. I was 13, and this was right up 13-year-old Cody's alley when it came out.
Oh yeah, this was yeah. It was
And
I awesome.
Definitely
I remember
like boys in my grade like having
Yeah.
duster jackets all of a
the
sudden.
trench coats came back into style, and
Those
sunshades were cool again.
Yes.
yeah, the dark shades.
Any
And
black leather, which is so funny to think of because I definitely grew up in Texas, and there's no place in Texas you're wearing a black leather jacket and feeling good about yourself unless it's like the dead of February.
I'll tell you what, the movie that parodied it the best about all the dudes that started dressing like that was Grandma's Boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Man,
Yeah.
I still want some Morpheus shades without any just the lenses. That's badass. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And the phones, man. I wanted one of the Matrix phones.
Those
so
flip
bad.
phones.
Yeah.
That is the one thing that ages this movie is the phones they're using.
Oh
Or
yeah.
just the
Or having to have a payphone to
Yeah, explain
back
to someone what a
into
payphone is.
yeah.
See-
Although I would have liked to have. Well, no. I'll save it because that goes into the fourth one. I'll save it. We'll have to come back to the phones, okay?
I think I have to say this, for every person who appreciates the original of something, there are that many variations of what the perfect sequels could be. And there's just no way you're going to please that many different ideas for what the sequel movie should be.
Right.
So sequels are always going to be disappointing to a certain percentage of the population.
Like, I think Ghostbusters, the video game, would have made a badass third film. Like, the story, because Aykroyd and Ramis wrote it, and everyone voiced it. And if you haven't, someone has taken the video game movie and cut it into a full-length film. And you can either watch the film or they intercut some of the gameplay so you can see what's going on. But it's in HD, and they did a really great job with it. And it's basically like a third animated movie, and I highly recommend it. So that's all I'm going to say on Ghostbusters, because don't get me started on that. Back to the Matrix.
But it's about sequels as well.
But yeah, it's about sequels. There are going to
be people who are so dedicated to the original that anything that comes after it just isn't going to live up to that. And then there are going to be people who love the original so much that they're just so forgiving and what a sequel and where a sequel will go or what it will do, that they're just like, yeah, that's fine, that's great. Just more of this, please. I need more of these characters or this universe.
But you know what? Now this is before this was still early internet, but I remember people enjoying the Matrix sequels. But that's again, I didn't have a whole lot of.
Before we get on to it, is there anything about the first movie you guys want to talk about before we move on to Reloaded and Revolutions?
Sorry, I know we keep jumping to the sequels, but
no, it's fine.
Does the first one feel funny to watch now that you have a better understanding of like the internet in any way or computers at all? Because I know they were definitely trying to make it so that people could follow it, but it was still pretty early days of like the everyday person navigating, using a computer at home, using a computer at work.
This was in the days when they were still using the World Wide Web. So,
well, yeah, I think at the end of the movie, it's like the website is way different than what the website is at the end of the sequels. And if you remember, like when he's like going into the like being unplugged, it even makes like that dial-up noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
The dial-up noise. Oh my gosh.
Because the internet was around in 1999, but not like everybody in their house had one. Like I didn't have the internet. Like I think that's the first time I saw advertisements for like Yahoo and some other things.
Right. Even if your only experience was like at school using a computer, or they just introduced computers for whatever part of the work that you were doing if you were a little bit older.
We did. I remember having internet as early as like maybe 98.
I remember in 98 or 99 we got the big cow box. That was our first home computer.
Maybe 97, but this
like
was
a
all
gateway
like
PC.
Okay,
but
my parents are old, so they didn't care about the internet.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what. Our very first, I don't want to say our first computer, probably our second computer that we upgraded to that wasn't all like floppy disk, that actually had a CD-ROM.
Oh, CD-ROM.
It came preloaded with the video to Weezer's Buddy Holly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it had that on there, and of course it came with like solitaire and pinball and like, all the classic computer. Minesweeper, which I still don't understand what that game is about.
I finally learned how to play Minesweeper, and you should too. It's probably a lot more fun than what we were doing.
I just remember clicking buttons and be like, oh, no, this game sucks.
No. There's actual, like, a method to Minesweeper.
Anyway.
But, yeah, I was also living in small town Kentucky, so internet probably wasn't in our area yet.
Yeah. Like, even, it's sad because even today there's still areas and still communities that just absolutely do not have internet access unless you go to a public or a public school.
Well, we weren't rich.
I kind of loved the first Matrix, and I do have a harder time following the subsequent ones, but
Yeah,
I don't know how to be
they get
critical of
they
it,
go like I said.
film-wise.
You're kind
They
of up
get
here.
way
Like the
more
first
into
Matrix is deep. Okay. Yeah. Then they just they go for it. They're like, okay, you want this open mind stuff? We'll get it to you. We'll feed it to you.
And I think
But
that's primarily why a lot of people don't like the sequels is because I think it gets way too more philosophical and they're like, oh, they're just up their butts. Like, I just want bullet time and kung fu.
right. Hey,
Who doesn't want to still just download
That-
a new skill immediately? Like
that freeway scene is still badass to this day. Like that whole freeway car chase, the agents.
Oh, I think about that scene every time I get on the interstate.
oh my
yeah,
gosh.
that scene was amazing. And then the
So-
whole fight scene on top of the truck between Morpheus and the agent. I know I'm jumping ahead, but
Are we
still.
ready? Are we ready?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. All right. So yeah, the first movie is incredible. Lightning in a bottle. You know, Lawrence Fishburne finally gets the role. The Wachowskis. This is why they're filmmakers. This is why they get to continue making movies. Is because they got to make the movie. They had to make a first movie before they could make The Matrix because they were frustrated with their projects always getting like cut or changed. Like they wrote a script for a Sylvester Stallone movie. Don't know if you've seen it. It's called Assassins with Antonio Banderas.
Oh, they did that?
They did it, but then Richard Donner had it be rewritten. So they were upset with how that happened. And so they're like, you know what? Because they worked in comic books. They worked for Marvel and some other places. And they're like, let's just write everything we want in a screenplay for one movie. And if we get to make it, we make it. And if not, okay. So Warner Brothers is like, okay, I don't get it, but sounds cool. But can you make another movie first so we know you can make a movie? So they make Bound, which is a really cool neo-noir movie, and it's so much more than what it was advertised as in the late 90s. It's not just some lesbian love fest. It's actually a really well-made movie. But they kind of advertised it as like this, there's two ladies.
Fierce creature.
The
Not fierce
only
creatures.
way they thought they could market it to like the most common denominator, like the basest audience that would pay money to see it.
There's a movie that's always brought up as a joke.
Oh, there's plenty of
with
movies
a lesbian love scene in it. Not heavenly creatures, not fierce creatures.
No, I don't.
Is it Wild Things?
Wild Things, yeah. It's always brought up as a, I don't know. You brought that up, and that made me think of Wild Things.
So anyways, that movie's a modest hit for its budget. Critics like it, so they get to make The Matrix. And The Matrix blows up. Everybody loves The Matrix. It makes tons of money. We're still referencing it 20-something years later.
The colors black and green have never had a better year than when The Matrix came out, let me tell you.
Yeah. Oh, another little tidbit. I'm pretty sure you guys know it by now. The Matrix has been out for, 20-something years?
You can't talk about 2 decades so casually. I'm sorry.
All of the drop screen, the letters, the Japanese letters and stuff that are going down, that trickle down the screen.
Matrix,
those are all like sushi recipes and stuff.
Oh, so it wasn't what Joey Pants was saying.
Yeah.
That liar.
Yeah. If there's one thing the sequels needed is more Joey Pants, but he gets killed off. So what are you gonna do?
Right.
But that steak looked good.
Oh yeah, it did. Who else was eating a steak? Oh yeah.
In the new one.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice this till the last time I watched it, Reloaded. When they get on the freeway, there's a billboard that just says steak.
That's all you need.
That's how they keep the number of
If
pillars
what's
down
his
with
name just
the
uttered the
steak.
word steak on the radio, it would make me want to go buy a steak.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. He could just
Beef is what's
Yeah,
for
he-
I thought you
dinner.
were gonna say if Cowboy Curtis would just do plugs for steak on the radio.
That's
if
Morpheus.
I
yeah,
know.
all they'd have to do is
Who
he'd
better
be
to advertise beef than Cowboy Curtis?
yeah, it could just be dead air, and all of a sudden you hear beef. It's what's for dinner, and they'll be like, "Ark! What are you doing, honey? Slow down." I was like, "No, I gotta go get some beef." Sam Elliott said so.
But
Sends me to a ravenous frenzy for beef.
as good as the first movie is, there are incredibly iconic action scenes in the second movie, like the freeway scene, the fight with Neo and all the Smiths, and after he talks to the Oracle,
Yeah,
the Mary Revenge stuff. That's really good, and it's like
the chateau where they're which brings me, and we'll probably wait until we have discussed the original three, okay? But I want to go back and explain to you, like, the guys that were jumping around, like the Merovingian is the first architect.
Is he the first architect or is he the first Oracle?
Was he the Oracle or the architect?
I thought he was the first architect, and he kind of gets like he's made obsolete.
Yeah, he's basically made obsolete, and he went rogue, and he's basically a rogue program.
Mm-hmm.
So all of his followers, all of his, I didn't know those two dudes were werewolves that she shot.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it
remember
just
the
totally,
Oracle says whenever you hear anything about werewolves or vampires or
yeah,
aliens, it's a
but it didn't.
rogue program.
It didn't click until I've watched it this many years later, and then I watched a video on
Until you
it,
started doing actual homework on your media.
and I was like, "Holy crap!" Yeah, because she said "silver bullet," and it just that has always gone over my head.
how well cast is the Oracle, though?
Yeah, it's sad that she died and they had to recast her for the third one.
Her recast is still incredible. Like the Oracle is just an amazing character.
Choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it choice though?
Well, she was put in there for choice.
She's there to deal with the consequences of free will. She is not the iteration of free will herself.
And
I
I
thought she
dig
was there
the
to offer it.
architect scene, even though people claim it's them being up their butts with philosophical mumbo jumbo.
I don't understand how you watch the first one and then get mad that the subsequent ones are like more philosophical. Like that's the whole point.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
people talk about Smith like Neo jumping into Agent Smith in the first movie is what caused Agent Smith to do that, because he imprinted. What was it that I said earlier? He became Agent Malware.
He
basically,
became rogue malware because of the
exposure.
The imprinted, yeah, the exposure to Neo's.
It's like a yin and yang. It's a yin and yang situation. He's the dark and he's the light, and they both react to each other.
Same image, the balance of the equation. You got, if you're gonna have someone who's the chosen one, then you're gonna have to have the like ultimate adversary there.
If you're gonna have the God, you're gonna have the devil.
Right.
Who's just
so
I don't even know if he's the devil. I feel like he's just like utter chaos.
He's the malware. He's gonna go in there and duplicate his chaos or
he's rogue code.
His rogue, and just
that's how those ads that you keep getting on your computer when you're trying to just check your email.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the annoying pop-up that just keeps popping up and popping up and popping up.
And I'm sorry, Hugo Weaving is phenomenal, and he's having a blast in these movies, especially the sequels. He's just like having an absolute blast.
Not only is he Agent Smith, he is Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Elrond.
Well, and not that the Wachowskis directed it, but they wrote the screenplay, produced it, and it's heavily rumored they shadow directed the film. He's V.
That's right. Yes, yes, V, and he's excellent in that too.
He's just excellent, and I think we can all agree.
Right. And I'll save it for the third movie, but I
We
understood.
can kind of talk about both of them at the same time, I
I
think.
meant the fourth.
Oh,
I understood why they did it, but I was
well,
slightly disappointed that they
there's a
weren't
reason
asked.
why he didn't get to come back. He originally was supposed to, but there was conflicts with he was doing something on stage, and then the film was shut down for 9 months. Yeah.
Gotcha, man.
You can't.
If he
Okay,
had
no,
come
that's
back,
about the fourth one. The actor who's cast in that part is excellent.
He is. He's having a lot of fun as well.
Have you ever seen Taking Woodstock?
I have not.
You
Ooh,
should if you want
That's
to
a
see
good
the
movie.
prettiest flower child version of that actor. It's a very good film. Anyways, I'm sorry, that's my pen. But he is one of the main characters, and he is delightful in that as well.
Oh, well,
I kind of
Lindsay,
like him
He plays Michael.
as an evil version of himself in this, but
Oh,
he
who
does
is
it
it?
very well as well.
Lindsay, I know you're a
Michael.
fan of musical theater, so you're going to enjoy the reason why I gave The Matrix Resurrection only 4 out of 5 stars.
Oh goodness.
But I'll save it. But I think you'll get a kick out of it.
I look forward to it. I'm going to make a little note here so you can't forget to tell me.
All right. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you, Lindsay. I don't understand, but I think so. Chris, you were saying like you don't remember people disliking. I don't. When The Matrix Reloaded came out, it was genuinely well received. And I think it made more money than the first movie. And I think up until Deadpool, it had the highest opening weekend for an R-rated film. I remember going to see this one because I was living in Texas by then, in Jacksonville, and all the theater ushers were wearing sunglasses for
That's the
promotion.
coolest theater ushers get to feel. Get to wear sunglasses inside where it's so dark.
That's pretty awesome.
No, that for real would make me feel cool.
But for some reason there was backlash after the movie came out, like a lot of movies. Even today, if you'll notice, like when there's early press screenings for blockbuster movies, it'll have mostly positive reviews, and then when it goes wide, then you start getting people like, "Oh, I didn't like it," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it was critics or if it was fanboys or general audiences, but by the time the third movie came out, a lot of people were just like on the attack and like, well, I don't like this movie. I don't like what they did. And look, and I'm going to say this not just for the Matrix movies, but pretty much the Wachowskis' entire filmography. It's not for everybody, but I commend them because they make original, interesting films and they always swing for the fences. They never make, you can never accuse one of their movies of being boring.
Right.
Even
Yeah.
if you don't like it.
Safe, like it banks on checking all the boxes that make a blockbuster or a certain kind of movie.
But I definitely don't understand where the hate for Reloaded is. I think Reloaded is a pretty solid sequel, and I think it's probably still my second favorite film in the franchise.
Right, and it has a bomb track by White Zombie on there, Rob Zombie. So,
man, Reloaded may have the better soundtrack because they've got like probably the only good POD song. They've got the Linkin Park thing in there. They play another Rage Against the Machine. They do some weird cool thing with the Dave Matthews song. Like,
yeah, they have some pretty kick-ass stuff.
It's got bangers left and right at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I liked all three of those soundtracks, but you're right. The second one there had some killer stuff on it.
Also, I remember this weird guy I went to college with, Elon Morris, who I think was obsessed with these movies. I don't know. I think he had
Oh,
some
what was his
men-
name?
I don't know if you know this guy. If you do, I'm sorry, but I think he had some serious issues going on. But he would
Uh,
just be sitting in the corner and he'd be like, the key maker, the key maker. It's like, dude, you watched The Matrix a little too many times.
oh, I remember hanging out with a dude that was into like the duster and the shades.
He was a robot on the inside.
And like there was this one time, I swear to Neo on this, okay? No joke. We were all standing around like in that smoke circle, everybody just stands around and they're smoking a cigarette or whatever. Not me, because I don't cigarettes are gross. But anyway, the dude like kneels down like with one hand, like
the Superman landing pose,
like the pose, and he's just sitting there, and we were like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm cool, man. I'm just resting here." And we're like, "Oh,
that's his natural resting state.
Okay, well, cool. All right." So we just kind of went out about our business. But that always, every time I think of the Matrix, I remember that because I laugh a little bit inside where he just like, because he was really obsessed with it, and
he was testing the boundaries of the illusion to see.
He probably thought we were all like
were.
agents or something. I don't know, but I really wish I remembered this guy's name, and that makes me think that maybe we're thinking about the same guy.
I don't think we are.
Okay,
this guy didn't wear dusters.
The Matrix had a very large impact on many people.
Yeah,
probably
because this guy, I swear, when you said that, I was like, oh, maybe it's the same guy, and there's like a connection there because it always stands out. And Melissa Berger would know.
She would.
Yeah,
because she used to hang out with him. But
that's another thing. Like the second movie, Reloaded, you get the payoff of the hype of Neo Thomas Anderson being the one. So in Reloaded, you get to see his power as big as it could possibly be. He's flying. He doesn't even have to dodge bullets. Like he's fighting agents like it's nothing.
Right.
I remember after this movie came out, there were people saying the Wachowskis should direct a Superman movie. And maybe that would have been a more healthy choice than giving Bryan Singer the Superman movie.
Right. That would have been interesting. This is the way there was I heard someone explain it, and I really liked the way they explained it because we see Neo, he starts to gain the ability to do things to the machines outside, like in the real world. And for the longest time, it was like, oh, well, he gained these powers or whatever. But they're not superpowers. He gained a Wi-Fi connection to the machines, basically. He was tapped in.
He's got that unlimited data plan.
He's got a hotspot in his brain.
No, that's what it was. Normally, you would have to be jacked in into the Matrix, but he was able to do it through like a Wi-Fi connection.
Yep.
And his roaming charges were outrageous.
Yeah.
So well, he flew 500 miles to go save Morpheus.
Right. He didn't have superpowers per se in the real world.
They just look super.
It was a Wi-Fi, so he had a connection to the machines, like where they're all the Sentinels are charging him, and he holds up his hands and does that thing like he does with the bullets, and they all just drop. And I used to think like, oh, well, that's kind of weird. Like he's like manipulating these superpowers. But then this guy explained it, and he was like, no, it was a Wi-Fi connection into the machine. Like he wasn't like a superhuman. He was tapped into the Matrix and into the machines themselves. So what looked like superpowers, like telekinetic powers, he was able to stop these charging Sentinels.
He was on that 5G, Christopher.
He just had this super 5G, and he switched them off.
Just shut the whole grid down.
Yeah, he switched
on that 5G plan. Oh,
and that's after that was explained to me, it just started clearing up so much.
I really think the computer, like physical to mechanical or digital interface, that whole metaphor is, especially with the latest movie coming out so much later than the rest of them, it probably made it harder to follow until you got to this point, and you can go back and watch all of them and put them into a certain perspective for like how everything was actually working.
Yeah.
Because we went from payphones and like the novelty idea of a portable phone. It doesn't have any wires. It doesn't have anything. It's animated. It moves on its own. It makes that cool little slide open thing, to everybody carrying a computer around with them.
Right.
And being plugged in at all times.
Right. And like when Smith comes over into the real world, like that always, it wasn't so clear every time I've seen that like 100 times, and then
really? Did no one wonder what was going on with that dude? Why he suddenly started talking like this? Because I don't think he talked like that before.
It was. I was like
a
how
comic book narrator.
How in the hell did he do that? And then it was realized that the way they jack into the Matrix to learn things like kung fu and everything, he basically jacked when he plugged into that dude and rewrote his brain. He basically downloaded himself into that human, and that's how he was able to get out and wreak havoc. And I swear this is stuff that probably a lot of people picked up on, but they're just little things that I've missed over the years and just wondered, like, okay,
oh, there's people with 9,000 theories out there, which when we get to the fourth one, that one scene you get, because they're like kind of throwing everything that people think the Matrix is about. I just wanted to bring up the albino twins. Those guys are really cool in the movie.
I did like them. Yeah, that goes to the whole freeway scene, and that was awesome. Morpheus.
I have
and
another thing I forgot to mention, which because of the Wachowskis' identity and how they classify themselves now and what they were when the original movies came out. Did you guys know the character Switch was originally supposed to be two different gender? Like they were going to be one gender in the real world and one gender in the Matrix world?
I did not know that. And I bet you that was studio intervention, huh?
Studio intervention said no. And like, I can see why people pick up on the whole trans allegory for the Matrix films, especially the original, not just because of the creators, but because the movie's all about being your true self and like living to be who you are instead of who you're not, like being trapped and not being yourself, your real self.
Wouldn't it be like a video game? There are people out there that like to play different genders on their video games, and because that's the way they like to be represented. So wouldn't that be like a video game where you could just, when you're in the Matrix, you're whoever you visually want to be?
Just building an avatar in general.
Yeah, like you're your true self.
But what else about Reloaded before we get to the finale that so many people, I don't know so many people, but a lot of people don't like, but I rewatched it a couple of days ago and it's probably my least favorite of the trilogy, but it's still a good movie and it holds up really well.
Yeah,
for me, anyways.
I like the I liked the third movie,
Revolutions. Yeah. I will admit that the Battle of Zion stuff is a little bit of a drag because it's just, people shooting tentacle machines for like 30 minutes or so.
I think that was a lot of filler.
Yeah, because I think they weren't. Because like Back to the Future, I think this was originally supposed to just be one movie, and then they were
Mhm.
like, "It's too much. You got to do 2."
Yeah, kind of like the Hobbit situation, I guess. Well, maybe not like the Hobbit situation, but um, but yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It did go a little deeper than uh with the philosophical stuff. I think that's
The
probably
Train
why.
Man's creepy. Did you guys
Yeah,
recognize the Train Man?
no, he did look familiar after
It's the
rewatch.
gyrocopter guy from Road Warrior.
Yeah. Wow. Okay,
He's
that's cool.
also he's also in the extended edition of Return of the King.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the guy that Aragon cuts his head off,
Yeah. Okay.
and he's in Revenge of the Sith. He's the dude that tells Obi-Wan Kenobi about General Grievous being there.
Yeah, I remember him in that.
So he's another one of those guys that's been in a bunch of franchises.
Cool. Good for him.
Bruce
Um,
Spence.
what were we talking about?
Revolutions. It's the being
Revolutions.
stuck in limbo in the train station.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, I figured out that he basically takes rogue programs and he sneaks them in and out of
The
the Matrix.
Matrix.
And that train station was basically like limbo.
Mm-hmm. And then the
So
final Smith Neo fight's cool. The stuff with Smith and the Oracle's really well done. That's a really good scene.
yeah, yeah. That okay, every time I see the fight between Smith and Neo at the end, I'm like, now keep in mind this was in
Oh, three.
yeah, '03, so this was before like a lot of superhero movies, and I always used to think, man, that's a Superman fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Superman and Zod fight right there. That's what we need. If you just put capes on him, I'd be tickled pink
Well, he's
even
already
more.
wearing a duster, Christopher. Come
Yeah,
on.
he's wearing a
Mm-hmm.
duster, but
I
man,
mean, it also kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Z a little bit too.
Like a Super
a little
Saiyan
bit.
fight?
But
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
when they're punching so hard, they're shattering glass, and it's making the rain like it's punching the rain out from around them and stuff like, and they're crashing through buildings and into the street. I was like, man, that's what we need in a Superman fight right there. But yeah,
We get
that's
to
my
see
input.
Zion, everybody's down to rave and whatever else they do.
We don't have to talk about.
Yeah, that weird wave.
That's a very 2003 scene, isn't it?
I've got
Yeah.
a semi-depressing story I will share about that movie. And every time I watch this movie, I think about it.
It comes back to you.
It comes back to me. It kind of haunts me a little bit. But when that movie came out, when the second movie came out, my cousin had just passed away. Okay.
Aw.
And what I do with every funeral that I go to, I usually try to go to a movie afterward because that's my feel better. That's my get away and disconnect for a little while. Well, I was going to go to the Matrix with some friends, and my cousin, my Josh Parsons, you might know him. He was like, "Hey man, can I go to the Matrix with you?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah. I mean, go ahead," because it was his sister who passed away.
Mm.
And I was like, "Yeah, buddy, you come on, we'll go watch it, and you got to meet me in Jacksonville." And he was like, "All right, I'll get a ride up there." And we get up there, and I wait for him. And this is before everyone had cell phones, so
Oh man, you were just expecting people to be where they were supposed to be
yeah,
on time.
I wait for him, and I'm like, okay, well maybe he wasn't able to make it. So I
He
go
changed
in.
his mind and didn't want to.
Yeah, or maybe he changed his mind. I don't know. He wasn't able to make it. So I go in, and it turns out like he shows up. He's just late. He's like 20 minutes late, and he shows up, and he's not able to get into the movie because I think it was it R?
Yeah, all the Matrix movies are R.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't able to get in because he was still underage. So he got dropped off, and he wasn't able to get into the movie. And I feel so bad because I got home, and my mom, like, just she laid into me on it, and I was like, I swear to God, I didn't even know he was out there. Like, he didn't show up. So, and then what makes me feel bad is he had to go back and watch it with his dad.
The last person anybody should want to watch that movie.
And my Uncle Robin is a Baptist preacher, so he got to sit through that orgy rave scene
with his dad.
With
you
his
monster!
Dad. That's what I got out of that.
You should have called him and been like, "Can I take you to the fourth Matrix? I am so sorry."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I saw the first 3 with my dad.
Well,
is your dad a Baptist preacher?
Yeah.
No, my dad is not a Baptist preacher.
Yeah, it's different when your dad's a preacher, and I think that just ups the awkwardness a little more when you're sitting through a rated R movie.
I guess so.
No.
My dad would have been like, okay, just don't tell your mom.
Can beat
exactly.
Yeah.
I can beat the story of the most awkward movie experience. And that's when DVD players were just like big and people were finally getting them into their houses.
Mm-hmm.
My mom surprised my grandparents with one for a gift, and she got them a couple DVDs to go with them, and one of them was Monsters Ball.
Oh my God.
And they sat down to watch it together. It's like, oh, we're gonna break in your new DVD player. I've heard great like critical reviews of this movie. We have to watch it.
Halle Berry got an Oscar for it.
Nothing like some softcore porn to break in the family DVD player.
Oh man. I've never seen a movie turned off so fast.
No, try watching it. No, okay, Angela's Ashes wasn't as bad as Monsters Ball, but
I was gonna say I've never seen Angela's Ashes, but I don't remember hearing about it being like with nudity or anything.
There's one scene in there that's really uncomfortable. I'm trying to be the most polite I can. They were teenage boys in there, and there was an activity that was going on, and it didn't show anything, but you could tell. And we're sitting there watching it, and my friend's mom, and it got so awkward. And I remember my friend jumping up and going to fast forward it, and nobody said anything or made eye contact. It was just one of those things. One of those things. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. But yeah, I just remember that story every time I see it. I always felt bad. But anyway,
but yeah, Revolutions is a good movie. I'm saying it. It's good.
Matrix?
Yeah.
Revolutions? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I'll defend all 4 of those movies, man.
Me too. I'm defending all 4 of these Matrix movies, and I will defend almost every Wachowski's movie. I may not defend Jupiter's Ascending because I feel like I need to watch that again before I can assess that that's actually really good.
I haven't seen it at all, so if you do decide to revisit that, let me know and we'll watch it around the same time, and
But Speed Racer rules. Cloud Atlas I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep. Yeah, I like Speed Racer. I wish I could have seen that on a big screen.
You didn't get to see it in the theaters? Oh my God.
I didn't. I wanted to so bad.
It is one of the most colorful and probably still the most interesting I've ever seen car racing. I wish car racing was like that for real. I would probably watch it more.
Right. They did a great job in it. Emil Hirsch and John Goodman and
John Goodman's great as Pops.
Yeah, I love John Goodman and Lost dude. What's his name? Matthew Fox. Yeah,
it's Racer X.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a great movie. I liked it. I love the way they adapted it. But let's see. Yeah, I will defend all three of those movies. I think we should dive into the fourth one and go ahead and get some fourth one
All
talked
right.
about.
Almost an hour in. Spoilers I will post on Facebook and Twitter. Spoilers if you have not seen The Matrix Resurrection, though if you have HBO Max premium plan, you can watch it right now in the safety of your own home. It's the last Warner Brothers movie they're doing the day-to-day release on. So if you don't want to go to the theaters and see it, I totally understand, and it's fine to
Ooh,
watch it at home.
ooh,
But
that's right. That is going to be the last one.
mhm.
That kind of makes
But
me sad.
But if you can and are fine with going to the theaters, go see it. Don't go see Spider-Man a fifth time. Go see The Matrix Resurrection.
I'd like to see it a first time, man.
I was very nervous about going to see it, but it is an enjoyable movie.
I can't
But
wait.
hot take, I like this movie more.
Really? Wow, wow. That's pretty big. It's a pretty big statement. Makes me a little nervous about Spider-Man now.
No, Spider-Man's good. You'll probably love it. I am just somebody that prefers films that are done by creators that have a voice and have something to say. And as
Gotcha.
much as I enjoy a lot of the Marvel movies, they are pretty much a product. I like the product. I
Oh, they
enjoy it,
are. Oh, yeah, they
but
are. There was a time I got burnt out on Marvel, believe it or not.
I know what I'm getting, and 9 times out of 10, I am enjoying it. It's like if I go and order a double animal style from In-N-Out. It's not the
Ooh,
greatest meal in the world, but I know exactly what I'm getting, and I'm gonna love it. That's
yes.
kind of what a Marvel movie is. That's no
And if you haven't
disrespect
eaten
to it.
In-N-Out Burger, go to In-N-Out Burger. I highly recommend it. It's not like Cody said. It's not the greatest restaurant or fast food in the world, but it's awesome. I mean, it's still going to taste good, and you know what you're getting, and it's decently priced too.
Yep. In-N-Out endorsements. We got you
Yeah.
guys.
Yes, and if you're a
Anyways,
fan of the Big Lebowski, you got to get you one.
anyways, so I don't know if you remember reading about 3 or 4 years ago, because of the way our culture is with movies, and especially now that everybody has a streaming service, they're kind of wanting to revitalize anything that was a franchise or could be franchised again. So I don't know if you remember reading that they were going to reboot The Matrix with Michael B. Jordan and possibly Zach Penn either writing or directing, who kind of worked on some of the X-Men films. And I
Hmm.
believe, much like in the movie, there's a conversation. I believe they sat down with Lana Wachowski and were like, look, we want to do another Matrix and we're going to do one, but if you would like to have a pass at it, we'll let you do it instead of somebody else. But if you don't want to do it, we're going to do one.
Oh,
And so I think that she decided, and someone please comment or correct me, but I believe that she is the right pronoun for Lana Wachowski now.
I
But if
think
I'm wrong,
I always just say siblings,
siblings, yeah.
the Wachowski siblings, because that can convey either. But yeah, you're right. I'm not sure which. Uh,
Anyways, no disrespect to Lana Wachowski if I disrespected, but Lana Wachowski decided, because the Wachowskis, Lana and Lily, are not working together right now, much like Joel and Ethan Cohen are not working together right now.
mm,
And so Lana Wachowski makes this with 2 other screenwriters, one of them being David Mitchell, who they adapted his novel Cloud Atlas, work on this. And I think they did a really good job. I think it's not exactly what a lot of people wanted,
hmm
but I think I think this is definitely a far more interesting and better film than had somebody else made it. I'm glad that Lana came back to make the movie and that they got Keanu and Carrie Ann Moss to come back. And Keanu, I guess, is going through a renaissance of playing characters he's played before, because we had Bill and Ted, and now he's playing Neo again. And
He said he really, really wants to do Constantine.
Which they could, since they're doing this whole multiverse thing. There can be two Constantines. There could be a Keanu Constantine out there.
They totally should, because I enjoyed the first Constantine. It wasn't like the comic, which I really enjoy. The Hellblazer comics. I love them. I love the concept of the character. I like the underworld stuff with DC, but yeah, I mean, I really dug Keanu as John Constantine. I really enjoyed that movie.
I like that movie as well. I think it's incredibly underrated. I think a lot of movies nowadays, like films 10 to years or more, people are going to go back and watch things that they thought were not good and be like, oh, that's actually not that bad. They were actually doing something interesting still. And I think this has a comment about stuff about that too, with like franchises and reboots. This movie is very meta. And it was even meta the first time I experienced watching it, because I was on vacation and I was visiting my parents, and my parents are older, so they don't do as much as they want. But my mom goes once a week. She goes to town, buys groceries, gets her hair done, and she was like, do you guys want to get a rotisserie chicken or go out to eat? And we be counting pennies over here, so we be stretching rotisserie chickens all the time. So I was like, well, let's go out to eat. And I was like, I think I'm gonna go see the new Matrix, because if my mom's gonna get her hair done, we can go into town and go see the new Matrix. So me and Jessica went to see the new Matrix at the same theater I saw the original Matrix, and not only the same theater, the same auditorium. I remember it's the same auditorium. I mean, it's been remodeled.
Nice. Congratulations. That's a special feeling.
It's the same auditorium that my dad took me to when I was in the 8th grade to see the original.
Nice.
And there was only 2 other dudes in the theater, because we went to like the first showing, like at 12 o'clock or 12:30. So I had my own meta experience with the new Matrix movie.
That's awesome.
You returned to the Matrix, Cody? Is that what I heard? Oh my goodness.
I did. And it was actually cold. So guess what kind of jacket I was wearing?
Was it long and dark?
Nice.
It was, because I have a 9th Doctor leather jacket.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm jelly. I'm not making fun of dusters, by the way. Not even in the slightest.
Oh, don't, because I'm going to have one of these days.
There was a boy.
Okay, Lindsay, you're here.
Who was big into it, and he wore one.
I want the Silent Bob duster. That's a pretty nice jacket.
So the reason I gave Resurrections only 4 out of 5 stars, this movie has Neil Patrick Harris and Jonathan Groff in it, and they do not sing, and they do not have a sing-off in their little confrontation scene in the coffee shop. I was like, where's the sing-off?
Right. If ever there was a place for a musical number in a Matrix movie, you guys had Neil Patrick Harris, and you dropped the ball.
Right.
He's getting paid these days. He's doing a lot of stuff. Good for him.
Yeah, good for Neil Patrick Harris. He's come a long way since
Doogie Howser.
Doogie Howser, and what was
you mean the Harold and Kumar Christmas movie?
Yeah, the 3 Harold and Kumar movies, which didn't age well at all, but
yeah,
it's okay.
Not even slightly.
No, it was Starship Troopers.
Right, yeah. Starship Troopers, yeah.
And then Captain, the sing-along.
Oh, that's Dr. Horrible.
That's when I started seeing the resurgence of him was Dr. Horrible. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he'd been on Broadway that whole time.
Yeah, and
Like
that's just
he had played Toby and Sweeney Todd. He had done Assassins. He was like doing all
wow.
these great
Yeah,
What about
Broadway
your limited
roles.
theater kid dreams? You
Right.
can't fault him for that. Anyway,
Yeah.
into the fourth Matrix.
As the
Oh my
new
goodness.
architect. Spoiler.
Yeah. I mean, good for
I'm
him.
not used to seeing
for him,
movies
though.
that I have to say spoiler in front of, but yeah, goodness gracious.
Right.
And he's having a blast.
He does do understated evil very well.
I love he was a therapist and he's evil.
I
And
don't
he's
necessarily care.
condescending.
Don't necessarily care for the comparison to like caring about your mental health and being like stuck in the Matrix and taking all the blue pills, but it works for the story.
Yeah, it worked for
Oh,
the
well-
story. They were using his mental health to subdue him.
So here's an interesting thing. We talk about the first movie being about being your true self and, you know, feeling like you're trapped, not living up to who you are, who you want to be. This movie is dealing with grief and depression.
Yeah.
And the Wachowskis lost their parents, like, I guess sometime between making this or before making it. And the movie shut down for 9 months because of COVID.
Right.
So that's what's interesting is we talked about like the first movie doesn't explain anything in the first act. That's all the first act of this movie is like we're going to explain the crap out of everything to you before we get to the stuff you want.
Yeah.
And
I
they
guess
still
that's bringing maybe, bringing the people up that haven't seen, which I don't know why you would go into this not having seen at least the first movie.
And I mean, they not only do they replay scenes from the first movie and shows things from all three, like it's like constantly reference. So here's the thing that I didn't think this was going to be a direct sequel to the three films. I thought this, which it is another version of the Matrix, but I thought it was going to be well, I guess it kind of getting confusing. I thought it was going to be a different version of Neo without having those memories, right? Because they explained in the sequels that there had been previous ones, right?
Right.
Previous incarnations.
But did they look like Neo?
I know, that's the question. I always assumed they were different versions. They didn't look like him, but maybe they've always been him.
Well, see, the way I took it, or the way I heard it explained was Neil Patrick Harris's character was there when Neo dies in the third movie. So he was either one of the Sentinels or one of the nanobots that surround. Whatever he was there to witness it, and he's the one that convinces the robots to, like, hey, I can do this better. I can do this better. I can manipulate him, like rebuild him, and I can tap into his potential, and we can utilize that power. And that's when they find out that it's not just Neo, but it's Trinity too. Like the two of them together create this, this power that I guess the machines could feed off of,
like a super battery.
if they can subdue him, if they can keep him from becoming aware and becoming godlike again.
So whereas the Oracle was introduced to make sure that whatever bug of code or whatever that Neo is, whatever specialness he has is like caught and circumvented from destroying the Matrix. The Neil Patrick Harris's, you said architect? He is an architect? He's an
basically, he's the new architect.
Seems more like a different version of the Oracle. That's a different means of control of who Neo is. He has him kind of locked into this headspace where he's like, well, you take all this medicine and you have to take all this intense therapy, and
Well, that's why
everybody around you treats you like this like old burnout dude.
that's where they're using his mental state to subdue him.
They're creating the mental state, though.
Yeah, he's creating everything around him, like his entourage that were around him were just programs meant to subdue him, like to keep him confused, basically, and to keep,
That is kind of messed up, though, that they make him a computer, like a gamer programmer, and he programmed his life as a video game.
Yeah, and he's like old and balding and.
Well, if you notice, because you only get one scene, but also Trinity doesn't look like herself to everybody else either.
I missed that.
It's in the scene where they're having coffee together, which they drink a lot of coffee in this movie.
Yeah, because I want to go back and watch this, but I need to see that
to rewatch that. Yeah,
I want to see Trinity's alternate
I want to know who
self.
Chad was talking to like that, because it certainly wasn't Trinity from the other Matrix movies.
So here's a random tidbit: that Chad, the handsome Chad, is the director of the John Wick movies, and he used to be a stunt coordinator. He worked on the stunts of the original trilogy and was Keanu's stuntman.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So Chad kind of is responsible for the Keanu songs.
He is.
Yeah, good for him.
And apparently he's going to be directing an adaptation of that samurai video game that came out last year that everyone says is incredible. Ghosts of...
Tsushima or something like that?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it looks great, but I don't do PlayStation, so...
I don't mean to stereotype people, but that Chad did look like an ex-stuntman to me. I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, most stunt people are within the realm of like celebrity attractiveness, but he just looks like that guy that was like probably got thrown off a lot of things,
Right.
Or drugged behind a lot of like stunt vehicles, or jumped through flames. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't know that. Makes me want to go back and watch it even more.
I feel like I do different. I feel like I'm doing the wrong homework when I get to the test part, and I'm like, "This is what I looked up about these movies," and then we get together, and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't look at that at all."
Right. It's supposed to storm Saturday. That's a good day to rewatch it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's why that's why you have more than one person, because we're all like looking up different things or.
That's right. That's the importance of perspectives.
Well,
finding interesting things. We find different things we like. Like, yeah, you said you wanted Hugo Weaving, which, Hugo Weaving would have been great. But I think Jonathan Groff is doing a great job in having fun as Agent Smith.
He is. Yeah, I'm not knocking the guy, and I'm not knocking the performance at all. I mean, it goes back to that thing where I saw something different in my head, but I still respect where they went with it. Like, I still think it's cool. He was just like a different version, like a different... He upgraded, I guess. It's funny because they portray Keanu. We were talking about them being yin and yang. Mm-hmm. They portray Keanu as the old balding man, and Agent Smith gets the young hot dude body.
I love his joke. He's like, I think they went a little too hard on the piercing blue eyes thing. Like, just a little pat on the back about how cute he is in that movie. That was a great line.
Yeah. That guy's also King George in Hamilton. Like, he's super talented.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen Hamilton. I don't know word of any of that music. I would love to see it, though.
If you have Disney Plus, it's on there.
But see, other people in my house use Disney Plus at the same time.
Well, you should watch it. It's incredible. I'm gonna sound basic, but it's incredible.
Oh no, we're gonna watch it. Yeah, we'll have to.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has probably told you it's incredible, but it is.
I did know that. I did know it was great, and I do know that I have seen and heard Lin-Manuel Miranda's work in other things, and I've always loved it. So
Oh, I'd also highly recommend In the Heights as well.
In the Heights.
Oh, off topic, but have you seen West Side Story yet?
Oh my God, yes, it's so
You
good.
did?
Okay, I'll take it by that. It was great.
It is great.
You take your
Okay.
breath away, Cody.
Good, because I want to see it.
I will just say, well, I mean, it's a lot like Peter Jackson's King Kong. It's kind of the same movie, but they switched songs around and changed who sings some songs. And of course, all the Puerto Ricans are now played by actors of Latino or Hispanic descent now, so that's good. And they're not white people in brown face.
Right? Yeah.
And
Well,
the Maria is really good. And of course they give Rita Moreno a role that's really good. Listen, the one thing that's not great in the movie is the one not great person that's in the movie, but he was cast before all the terrible allegations came out about him. But
So many not great people.
So who was it?
it's Ansel Elgort, is that his name? Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
I haven't
I
heard his
didn't.
scandal yet.
There was a young woman who accused him of sexually assaulting her when she was 17.
Oh
And
no.
it happened in 2014. And he, of course, denies it. But if you notice, like, they're not really advertising like that he's in the movie. I mean, he's on the poster. And, of course, they've had to have him come out for campaigning because he probably have to
Have a
pay him if they
contract of some
don't.
kind.
But
Yeah.
like they were pretty quiet about like his involvement up until it came out
Right.
after that stuff. But everybody else in this movie is like phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah, I want to see it. I'm excited to see it. So it'll
That's
be
another theater classic I've never seen any installation of. I haven't seen any version of it. So
Oh my God, really? You've never seen
Really?
the original either?
nope.
Wow.
I will say there was a very large judicial interruption of my theater education in high school that had a lot to do with a theater teacher disappearing to
Right.
prison land. So that's
Yeah.
probably why I haven't seen it. But I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing Steven Spielberg's love letter to this classic.
Yeah, apparently
Classic,
that's a
classic.
favorite.
It
And I
is
know
the original's considered like one of the greatest movie musicals of all time.
But that's with all the white people cast as the lead parts, though, right?
I mean, Rita Moreno's in it, and there's a few, but yeah, there's a lot of like, of course, Natalie Wood's the biggest one because she's playing Maria.
Right.
right.
But I mean, it's still a really well-made movie. But it's Leonard Bernstein and Steven Sondheim's lyrics, and yeah, it's still a well-shot, well-made movie. But Steven Spielberg does make a more interesting modern version of it, and they change. So in the original there's a character, I'm forgetting their name, but they're portrayed as a tomboy, whereas here it's more of a trans character where it's like, no, this is who I am, this is who I identify as
Okay, well, cool.
a member of the Jets or someone who wants to be part of the Jets. Yeah, I think you guys are gonna like it. Yeah.
I'm looking
cool.
forward to it.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm ready to crank it up and watch it on the surround sound. That'll be cool.
And that's another movie people aren't going to go see. Apparently, only Spider-Man is worth risking your life for.
Hmm.
Oh, that's lame.
Well,
It's probably not.
Well,
Yeah,
here's what I
we were
think.
going to, but there's been an uptick around the counties, so
I risked
Yeah,
my
I
life for
know.
Ghostbusters, so I'm good.
we're staying at home.
But here's the thing, and I think this was going on even before COVID. I think people are only wanting to go to the movies because they don't want to be spoiled. They're like, I don't want to like be off social media for 2 months to wait till I can watch this movie. So they're like, I better go see this one.
And I get that, but I still look. I'm an advocate for the movies, and if I had, first of all, if I had the money, and secondly, if we weren't in the middle of
The
all of
biggest
this.
panini in history.
Yeah, the biggest panini ever. I would be going to the movies weekly. I'd love to take my kids to the movie every single week because it seemed like as a kid growing up,
that was how often you went.
that's how often. I was there
You were
all the
so
damn
spoiled.
time. Yeah, either my sisters were taking me, my mom was taking me, my dad was taking me, or my friends' parents were dropping us off. Or when we got old enough to drive, I was taking myself. So it's like I lived at the movies. But nowadays,
who can afford it?
With as much as I want to take my kids, the when we went to see Ghostbusters, it was $58 for.
We could go out to eat for less than that.
Yeah, it was like $58 or $59,
and just tell each other how much we like Ghostbusters
for five people, folks. For 5 people, and don't get me wrong, I was glad to support it. I'm glad we got to go see it. It was a spiritual experience.
Does there feel like there was?
I had missed it, but man, that's a lot of damn money, And
Speaking of pangolins and paninis, the fourth Matrix, I don't know, has a similar. I don't want to say a Paul cast over because that's not really what it was, but just this tinge from the current COVID climate. I don't know, like that made it much more. It had a feeling of being like very, very tired. Like the weight of saving the world, of being the one, just that much heavier. And Ghostbusters had a similar somber tone because of the passing of Harold Ramis and like dedicating it to him. I feel like all the newer movies I've seen feels like everybody who made them was just like wrung out.
Well,
but that might be me projecting, so who knows?
Maybe, but like I said, Lana Wachowski lost their parents died,
Right.
Then a pandemic happened. And then you're like, I'm coming back to a movie that basically created my career. And people have been telling me for decades what these movies are about, yelling at me what they didn't like about the sequels, telling me what this. And I'm going to make this movie.
It almost felt like a George Lucas prequels type situation.
Shush your mouth.
Hey,
shush your mouth. No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just talking about where he wanted to go back and do something that he.
That's not what this feels like, though.
Wanted to do. Well, yeah, but the fans, he's getting the backlash from the fans that. Because I'm telling you, I have seen more people shitting.
He didn't get his backlash until after the prequels. The prequels were George Lucas going, I'm going to do whatever I want to because I'm George Lucas and I have more money than Jesus now. This feels like, like Cody said, being told what it should have been or what they didn't like and what they really mean.
Yeah.
When you're the person who came up with it, that's a whole different weight you're carrying into making your.
But George Lucas went to the same thing.
He did
with whiny fans saying, "Well, this is what it should have been."
The People versus George Lucas was backlash from the prequels.
We're fanboys. You should have done what we wanted, not what you want. You're only the creator.
Everybody's hate for Revolution and Resurrection, or not Resurrection. What's the other one?
But here's the thing I like too, not that there's collaboration here. And I think that's look, I will say one thing about the prequels. They are solely George Lucas's vision. They are not boring movies, but they lack collaboration, of which what made that original trilogy so good.
Right.
Yeah,
because their original trilogy was like so many different people's strengths, whereas this is just like led by one person.
Yeah, it's not going to be what everybody wanted. It's not going to have the same.
Nothing is ever going to be what everybody.
It's not going to have the. It's not going to carry and have the same magic, but it was his.
So were you guys okay with the new Morpheus? Are you upset, Lawrence Fishburne?
New Morpheus.
I liked new Morpheus.
I love Bugs and.
Yeah. Like I said,
Oh, I love Bug. She was great. Did you know that actress Jessica, I think it's Heinwick, she she had the opportunity to either audition for this or Shang-Chi as the sister, and it was like you can only audition for one,
Wow.
and she chose this.
Good for
It
her.
was a solid call for her.
Yeah.
She was amazing in this.
Although it seems like Shang-Chi isn't getting the backlash
Nearly.
that it seems like the Matrix 4 is getting from what I've seen in
But the
minute.
Matrix 4 is
what I've
not
seen
getting
in
as much
comments.
backlash as I thought it was gonna get because of Don't Look Up. But apparently it's bananas that I like this movie as much as I do. Apparently there's something wrong in my brain because there are people that are like, this is just bad and lazy, and I
Yeah,
don't
and I'm
think
like,
so.
it's fun.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not lazy. Look, you don't have to like it because I think if you don't like any of the Matrix sequels, this movie's not going to like bring you back and be like, yeah, the Matrix is back.
Yeah. But how can you
It doesn't
how
have
can
to be
you
for
can't
you, though.
top? I look at it like I look at it Ghostbusters Afterlife, okay? I liked it. It was good, but it's never going to top the first two Ghostbusters movie for me.
The only thing you can do with
And that's what
sequels and
this
people's
movie
expectations is support the story.
Yeah,
You can only
it's
add
just
more
a-
to the story
it's
that
a
maybe you didn't get to fit in before.
Like at this point, like Lindsay said, I'm just looking for more story. I'm not looking for it to top the originals.
There's just no way.
There's no way. I'm not. It's my expectations are okay. Remember, this is not going to top the original. It's
What
going
else
to
can
add.
you tell me about this universe?
Yeah, it's going to add to it. It's like the Lord of the Ring, the Hobbit trilogy. I knew going in that those movies were not going to top the trilogy. Okay, and I say the trilogy because it is the trilogy of trilogies. Okay, it's the King of Kings. So I'll say it. But they were still good. You know, they fleshed out. They added to that universe and Tolkien's world, and I got to see things visually that I kind of wanted to see, and that's cool. And they're fun movies, and I love them. But they're not going to be the original, and that's the way I looked at it with this movie. It was meta. It was cool. It was fun. I liked the direction they took. I wish some people came back, but they didn't. But I'm not tore up about it.
Well, who
I'm
else
totally fine with it.
besides Weaving and Fishburne?
That's it. That's that's all
But
I can
here's an interesting theory. A lot of people are saying they wished original, I guess OG Morpheus or the old Morpheus was in Zion when they go back to Zion. But here's the thing, it needed to be somebody else so there's conflict. Because if it was Morpheus, he'd been like, okay, Neo, go do what you got to do. Because, you know, Morpheus always believed in Neo. Like,
Right.
like there would have been no conflict. He'd be like, you got to go get Trinity? I got you.
And he was older anyway.
Right,
I mean,
right.
he was older in the original trilogy, and there's no way he would have made it another 60 years. I mean,
without being something like Jada Pinkett Smith's character.
Yeah, I always took it that she was younger, and that's why she was able to live, another 60 years. And
movies are ultimately going to be time capsules. There's going to be different things at stake when you make the first of something than there are when you have the breathing room to make sequels or to make subsequent movies that tie into the same universe. So you're going to get the Matrix, and there's not ever, or the Ghostbusters, or the first Star Wars, and there's not ever going to be anything that lives up to that or tops that. It's all just going to be like more world building or bolstering of what you've already established.
Yeah.
And people are either going to like it or they're not. And if they don't, I'm sorry for them, because gosh, it was fun watching the fourth Matrix. Even if I was confused and a little bit, it made me a little bit sad, the way that getting older makes you feel a little bit sad, but I still thought it was great, and I'm going to go back and watch it.
So do you guys, I heard this one too, is that Neo was kind of living Cypher, Joey Pants's life that he wanted when he gave up Morpheus in the original Matrix.
No. He got to go back and live whoever he was in The Sopranos, and it ended horribly for him, which is exactly what he deserved.
Yeah.
He caught it right in the face, like you should have, when you rat on your friends. I don't care if they're in a computer world or a real world.
Yeah, his head was taken, put in a bowling bag.
Did you
Was
guys
it?
notice who was running the pitch meeting for the new game?
Who was it?
Remind
That's
me. because it was
Christina Ricci.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So that was just her little cameo. I remember hearing like, she's got a new cameo. It's gonna be great.
Well, there's
She was
people
great.
that
How dare
suspect
you.
there's some cutted,
cut
scenes
footage.
cut, deleted
Yeah.
scenes. Also, Doctor Who fans, Martha Jones is in there. So
Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
Yeah.
Yes, she
Yeah.
is. That's who I thought you were talking about, and I was trying to remember that actress's name. I'm sorry, but you're right. Christina
Yes,
Ricci was running it.
Freema, I don't know how to say her last name. She was in their television. There's a lot of actors that were in their Netflix series since 8 that are in here. Like a lot of them.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of there's speculation that there's already another Matrix in the works. Like
I have heard I think it's James Mateague who directed V for Vendetta and Ninja Assassin, who was like the assistant directors on these, says there's maybe open for another one, but at this time Lena Wachowski is saying they're not doing another one.
Well, Keanu's going back to more John
Well,
Wick. And
he's doing more John Wick. Do you guys
Too,
remember
so.
at one time before COVID that this and John Wick 4 were supposed to come out on the same weekend?
I remember that.
Oh,
that was going to be
goodness.
huge. That was going to be huge.
It was gonna be like a Keanu explosion.
I'm going to go back and watch the John Wick movies before the fourth one.
They're so good. I just
so
love
good.
the world. What do you guys think of a program aging? Because apparently that happens. And
You mean like deteriorating and becoming obsolete?
I
and
could
becoming
no,
less
remember the little girl from the train in
Oh, yeah.
Revolutions?
Yes.
Miss
I do.
whatever the actress's name is that's married to the Jonas brother. That was her.
Married to a Jonas brother?
Oh.
Yeah, she's married to one of the Jonas brothers.
I bet that's interesting. Because
I don't.
what's wrong with them? The Jonas brothers, I mean, not her.
Yeah, I don't know much about her. I've seen her in a few things. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I didn't know programs could age.
AI can advance and learn and adapt and become a new iteration of itself, right? What windows are we in now?
We haven't talked a lot about Trinity. Lindsay, how you like Trinity in this one?
I was hoping she had
what part of Trinity do you want to know about?
I mean, I loved every bit of her, especially her being perturbed that her name was Tiffany in the Matrix.
Yeah, she's like, yeah. I really, I don't know. I have, I don't know how to communicate my feelings about how they like try to take away her power as a massive force against the Matrix by turning her into like a frazzled mom of older kids who are just like kind of little shitheads. But I do love her. I love getting to see her and getting to see her just like her frustration and like her feeling of being insulted when she was like, don't you think that video game character looks like me? Like we even have a name that's similar. And Chad laughing at her and her being like really bothered by that, but she doesn't know why and she doesn't know how to express how irritated she is without sounding like a crazy person. I did appreciate those moments.
And I love the final scene where she's just beating the crap out of Neil Patrick Harris and Keanu's just chilling in the back petting that.
Yeah.
Like, you had that coming.
She's got this. She's not saying anything I don't agree with. I'll let her handle it. Yeah.
I love that this movie is ultimately just a love story too.
It is.
Their love powered an entire planet of robots.
And Keanu does not shoot a gun at all in this movie. I mean, other people are shooting lots of guns, but not Keanu.
That's crazy that you mentioned that because
That feels very Jesus walks on watery to me because we were talking about the Jesus like
it's very Christ-like
allegory and metaphor for like Keanu Reeves' character. Yeah.
Well, and if you notice, the fighting is very limited too for him in this one too. Like,
Well,
he
again,
shows
he is
off some.
pushing 60, so
I mean, yes, he is, but he's still doing those John Wick movies. But
that's true. He could have been beat up from John Wick 4. Maybe he's like, I'm too tired, guys.
He's too sore.
Yeah, I've just kicked all like.
If you notice, most of the fighting he does is like, oh, let me show off my flex move.
Yeah.
But then he also lets Trinity do like her thing. Like, you got this. I don't have to do everything.
What a healthy relationship they have. I really appreciate that too.
But they basically become Superman at the end of the movie again. So.
And then we get the Mayor of Vinge, who's basically his film Twitter.
Yeah.
This one little scene.
Oh my goodness.
That was just such a weird scene. I don't know. It was funny.
He's deteriorated even more from all the different versions.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the entire credits at the end?
Did we?
What part are you referring to? Because I'm pretty sure that we watched till the very end of every movie we watch because Marvel has taught us we can't trust anybody or anything.
There's a stinger at the end. It's not like a secret ending or a tease for a sequel. It's just a little funny thing of the pitch people again pitching something.
Oh man, maybe we didn't.
Connected to the Matrix.
Okay, don't say anything because when we get done with this, as late as it is, I'm gonna throw it on and like.
Well, you can basically just YouTube it. Like, you don't even have to go through the movie.
Oh, okay, then yeah, I'll YouTube it.
But
speaking of, it is 12 after 1, and I've got to go to bed here soon. So I don't want to cut it short.
Well, but we're doing it less than 2 hours, which that's what I figured we were going to take.
We never make it shorter than the movie. The last movie we watched.
That's true. I didn't mean to come off rude, and I'm sorry if I did. I meant I was trying to make aware of the time. So
we didn't talk about the Animatrix, but if you're a fan of the franchise, I highly recommend checking it out. It's really cool.
I was going to ask if you watched it.
Yeah,
I did.
Matrix.
And I love the I forget the guy's name. He's my favorite anime director. He did Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. He did the detective story and the kid story. I really liked those, and I liked the training sequence one with the where they're like samurai gear. Those were probably my favorite ones.
Yeah, there were some really brilliant. I love how they all tie into the last flight of the Osiris. The Osiris gets mentioned in the third movie because they're the ones who send the signal to warn.
I thought it was mentioned in the second movie.
Or the second one, yeah. They're the ones that send the signal. Don't they warn them that the Sentinels are drilling like on the way towards Zion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And the kid story, you see him pop in the third movie, and you're like, oh, well, he just kind of came out of nowhere. They just mentioned
he didn't come out of nowhere.
They just mentioned
he didn't come out of nowhere. He's in the second one too, because it mentions Neo freedom and all that.
Yeah, yes. That's what I mean. Like they go back and they show that story in anime form, and it's really cool. Like
I kind of like those little sub-series or mini-series or little animated shorts that add to a story.
Mm-hmm.
The Animatrix is awesome.
Yeah. I don't think it's required viewing, but if you're a fan, I highly suggest checking
Mhm.
it out. And
It's enhanced viewing. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. So I totally disagree with the comment that like they make in the movie, the new one, about I don't want to do homework or watch something that requires a syllabus. It doesn't. They are dealing with complicated things like philosophy, religion, politics, but these movies aren't that complicated. You can just sit down and watch them.
Right.
They can be popcorn movies,
It
Yeah.
can be. Gosh, if you take the time to just.
but you can go deeper and enjoy it more if you're into it. Like,
But wait, there's more.
yeah, you know. But
So I may have crazy brain, but I really like all four of these movies. I think the first one is a touchstone Marvel film, but I
mhm.
think each one of these sequels brings something interesting, and they're all very good movies in my opinion. But then again, I think almost all the Wachowski movies are very good. I guess I'm just in the pocket of what they're doing,
Right.
and I hope they get to keep making movies.
Yeah, I enjoy all their stuff, and
We're their audience.
yeah, I'll definitely
Don't gaslight yourself about what, like, oh, maybe I'm crazy because I like them.
Mhm.
You like them because they're good and they're for you.
Yeah, I'll defend
They're
all
for
these
me.
movies. These are great movies, and I watched them just at that right time in life that they struck a chord, and I've been a fan. So
I'm interested to see what Keanu Reeves does when he has to give up the game about being immortal. I want to see who he becomes next.
Where is Horcruxes hidden anyway?
Well, one of them's an Adam
Turtle
Driver,
movie.
I think.
Oh, you think so? Oh, hey,
Yeah.
there's a theory.
Well, haven't you seen the thing? I forget who the younger kid is, but it's like then it's the Stranger Kids thing. Finn Wolfhard, Adam Driver, and Keanu Reeves are like all the
That's
same
right.
person.
Goodness gracious!
Wow.
I can't believe I didn't connect all my dots.
Can connect the dots.
But I mean, a
Well,
lot of people think Adam Driver also looks like Alan Rickman.
oh yeah.
Do you know what Adam Driver looks like? About 30 dozen cats that have Instagram accounts as well. So I don't know if looks are what we're going off of. If I was more like vibe and body of work, I guess Alan Rickman fits in there somewhere as well. Rest in peace, Alan.
Yes.
Well, leaving on that note, next week, okay.
What are we going to talk about?
Folks,
Don't Look Up.
we'll cover that next week. We'll do an off topic about Not Look Up, but then go back to the movie that we are discussing because we always do that. It'll happen. So next week we'll talk about the depressing movie, but also entertaining and highly hilarious. I think it's one of the greatest satires of our time, of modern time, in the past couple of years at least. We'll get into it next week.
So we're gonna do Don't Look Up.
No. We're gonna.
What was next week?
Well, I thought we were getting into James Bond.
That's what I thought we were doing.
Right.
Dun, 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 dun.
But Don't Look Up is like.
But no. Well, what I mean is,
about
we'll take a couple of minutes and we'll get into to Don't Look Up. We always do it with other
You're
movies.
gonna make me cut my notes down, but I guess I can do a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we'll get into that and then some James Bond next week.
Okay, since I suggested we do directors because we do a directors series. This first week one is not going to be that different because the first director who directed James Bond movies did all Sean Connery movies, so it's going to be Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Thunderball.
Cool.
So it won't be a varying degree and era with the first week, but that's how it is.
Yep. Hey, that's all right. So
I really like Don't Look Up too, but I do not appreciate Adam McKay kind of attacking everyone who didn't like it. I mean, I understand.
Oh.
Yeah. He basically accused elite film critics of either relating to it too much or causing global warming. They're part of the problem.
Boy,
I think
somebody's
he might be losing
out.
it a little bit.
I mean, I feel like he was, airing out some COVID issues with himself with this movie.
Yeah. I thought I saw a lot of the parallels between.
I thought we were making fun of climate change. Isn't that what other people are saying?
Yeah, I
Making
saw.
fun of climate change as much as you can, being right in the end stages.
I saw climate change. I saw political climate. And him making fun of that. I saw him.
Oh,
Making
he's
fun of
clearly was making fun of the Trump
pop culture, the
administration.
media, just like
Mhm.
talk shows, everything.
Leonardo DiCaprio actually being interested in women his own age.
Yeah.
How is Leonardo
Yes.
DiCaprio not out there doing a whole apology tour? Because wow.
Yep. I thought that was great.
Wow.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't care if Kate Blanchett's over 50. She's a goddess, so.
No,
She-
nobody is dogging on her when we're talking shit about
she will
Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's not even her name. It's Galadriel, and you better remember
Lady
that.
of Light.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Galad-
You should
her,
be
I don't care
lucky, Leo. You should be
whatever role
lucky.
she plays
Both-
until she is 80, she is always going to be Galadriel,
Both
Lady of
women
Light.
in that movie are queens, and Leonardo DiCaprio should be licking their feet the whole movie. But
he should ask for a golden strand of hair upon her head.
and she should spit upon him.
Are you talking about Jennifer Lawrence being the other one, or the actress that plays his wife?
The
All
actress
three
that
of them.
plays his wife. I
All
was not
three of them.
considering Jennifer Lawrence as a love interest for Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, she wasn't. Okay, I
But
was
she was
just
so good in that movie.
She feels a little too old for Timothy
Chalamet.
Yes.
They're only
Yeah.
5
But
years apart.
Oh,
he
okay,
looks
that's
like
not
one
bad.
of my
That's not-
children to me. He looks very
That's
young.
true. He looks young. And Jennifer Lawrence has always looked older, even when she was young.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I just thought it was great satire. Like
It
I
was a
laughed
great
and
movie
I thought,
if you like to laugh and cry at the same time.
yeah,
But you
at
know
the
what's
end,
sad about Jennifer Lawrence is that's actually probably the closest to age range of a love interest she's had besides Anton Yelkin, the Beaver, because usually they're casting her opposite like 45-year-old men.
Like Chris Pratt.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wah,
Oh, such
wah.
a creepy movie.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
It was creepy before we all knew why it would be creepier.
Yeah. All right, guys. Look, we got to end it. We're gonna go with James Bond next week. We're doing Doctor
With a little bit
No
of venting about Don't Look Up.
From Russia with Love
And then the third one that Cody said
and
I couldn't write down fast enough for
Thunderball.
Thunderball.
Thank you.
So we're skipping one because that's a different director, but yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, we're doing it. We're mixing it up a little bit, guys. We're not going in film order. We're going by directors. So we're gonna. Cody thought it would be fun to mix these up, and it's gonna be different for me.
Have you always watched those chronologically, like Dr. No to whatever the newest one is?
When I was younger, yes, but then when I actually got the set, it's always been chronologically, like not always, but for the most part. So it'll be fun doing them by directors. So
I guess my brain, because I watched them on cable and they never showed them like that in order. I just like, oh, which one do I want to watch now? Because besides the Craig ones, they're not really required that you watch them from one to the next. You know, you can.
Right.
Yeah, they're episodic until you get to Daniel
I know
Craig.
it's always been that. I don't know, that weird. I don't know, but it'll be fun. I'm ready to get into.
It's whatever you were introduced to seems the most right.
Now we may not do all of these just back to back. There might be some weeks in there, like Valentine's Day. I would like to do some romantic movies because it's Lindsay's birthday as well.
They don't have to be romantic.
Well, no, but I would like to do.
Well, let's Lindsay pick the movies then, not just because it's Valentine's Day, but because it's her birthday.
It's her birthday, yeah.
Let me stand on my soapbox about what love means and why it doesn't always have to be romance.
Well, we'll get into that at Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Just we're gonna do. Lindsay will pick the movie because it is her birthday /
I will be
Valentine's
starting on my
Day.
notes immediately.
We'll do that whatever week the 14th lies on. There might be some movies coming out that we want to do. I don't know. We can switch it up, but for the most part, we will be doing James Bond. We might intercut a week or two here with some different movies to switch it up, but
We have to cover Groundhog Day just because this is what year of the pandemic?
Yeah, Groundhog Day. We'll definitely
Year
cover
3. It is
Yes.
year
Yeah.
3.
But what day of Groundhog Day does this year of the pandemic
How
feel
long
like?
did
And let's talk
Vietnam?
about that.
How long did Vietnam last?
Like
I mean,
the entire conflict, or just when we were like fully engaged?
fully engulfed conflict, wasn't it?
8 years, I think, at least.
Oh, was it 8? I was thinking it was more
64
like
to Nixon was in his second term.
That's right. Oh, okay. How long was
Are
World
we
War
comparing
II?
the Vietnam
Yeah,
War to the
no,
pandemic?
yeah,
Because
okay.
wow.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, more
guys.
people have already died from COVID than they died in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh. And we're still out there like,
Wah,
yeehaw, no
wah.
mask.
You know, 2 other movies, we don't have to do all 3 because that'd be killer, but 2 other movies that are really good, go with Groundhog Day, is Edge of Tomorrow or Palm Springs.
Oh yeah,
What's
yeah.
Palm Springs?
We haven't watched that yet. It has Andy
Oh, you
Samberg.
should see it. It's a Hulu movie. It's Andy Samberg.
Remember they relived the
Oh,
whole
it's that
thing.
wedding, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to tell you too much more. I
Okay.
want you to be as cold as you can, but yeah, you should watch
I
it.
tell you
It's
what,
really good.
We'll save it. It has not been spoiled, and it's been out for a while, so we'll be good. We'll save it, and we'll do that
We can
Groundhog's
get those
Day.
3 in that
Yeah,
weekend, even
we'll
if we
do
don't
a-
talk about all of them.
We'll do a little trilogy. We can cover all those. So
Because I don't want to say more, but it's a really good companion piece. And when you watch Palm Springs, it'll just feel like the 2020 for you.
right.
2020
And we
or
watched
2020.
we watched Edge
the
of Tomorrow
2.
last year. Actually in 2020. We watched it in 2020, but I can watch it again. So
Groundhog's Day's a Wednesday. Ha ha
oh wow.
ha ha.
Groundhog Day is a Wednesday, guys. Awesome. So that works out. That's pretty badass. Anyway, all right, guys. Thanks for listening. Almost 2 hours. Wow, that's good.
Boy, if you
2
listen to
hours
the
of me
hours.
telling you why the Matrix rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. 1999, Chris would be like, "I'm proud of you." 2022, Chris.
That you can
Sticking
remember
up-
this much from the first time you
Sticking
saw
up for this movie that many years later. Yeah,
Wouldn't it be more like 2003, Chris? Because
That's
everyone
true.
in 1999 was kind of like, yeah, the Matrix.
That's true. 2003, Chris would be like, "Good for you, 2022, Chris. You
Still liked Reloaded and Revolutions.
You old man, you old graying man, you.
Video game
Yeah.
developer you.
But anyway, guys, Cody, thanks for joining us. Lindsay sends her farewell. She just made an exit, but we're gonna end anyways. So we had
Good
fun.
night.
Good night. My beer of choice this evening was Elysian Space Dust IPA. Very excellent beer and a high ABV. That's why I'm pretty toasted right now. 8.2%. So it's a pretty high content beer, but it's delicious after 2. I'm pretty toasty. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining us, and I hope you're looking forward to James Bond. And we'll see you next week. Actually,
Yep, and see us Saturday to talk Crimson Peak for our Guillermo del Toro series. We're almost done.
Yes, and we don't have anything Friday, right?
Nothing Friday. I'm trying to schedule these just one a week now.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, that works for us because I have not seen that movie, and I'm pretty interested in seeing it. So,
well, yeah, it's a little spooky, so just warn Lindsay, but it's not like a full-on scary movie. It's more of a gothic romance, but it's got spooky stuff in it.
Coolio. All right, sounds good. All right, man. I'll see you then.
All right. Good night. Thanks for watching. I think we had like 2 viewers.
Yay. Thanks for our 2 viewers. That's awesome. They make me feel happy.
All right. Good night.